Hello and happy Saturday. It's your Ghoul Essence, and I'm here to deliver your daily message. So, I'm not going to take up too much of your time, but if you are new here, welcome. If not, welcome back, and thank you for returning. I do hope you're enjoying your Saturday. If you're not, I do hope it gets better. So, let's jump into it. What do we have for the YouTube Collective? Messages for the YouTube Collective, please. What do we have? Okay, so your first card, you do have Eclectic. Every rule has an exception. You also have Paradigm. Do you always do this? It is hard to change your nature. Try changing your environment or perhaps your perspective. You also have Sanctimony. The moment you think I am nothing like them, you become exactly like them. And you also have Ruckus. Losing the moral high ground means you gain something else. And I was actually pulling messages for TikTok earlier, and I really feel like this goes hand in hand with that. Collective, I do feel like some people could be seeing you as some type of rule or some type of rule breaker, some type of exception to the rule. At the bottom of the deck, you do have Lost, Look for the Light with Lucid. And tying this Lucid into what I was saying on TikTok, I do feel like a lot of people could have seen you as somebody who was, I'm hearing, dreamy, somebody that had stars in their eyes, somebody that, like, you know, wasn't living in reality, who came off as, like, living in their own little world. But with Eclectic, every rule has an exception. I do feel like you being different, you, I'm hearing, breaking out of the mold, you being cut from a different cloth, has truly paid off for you. I do feel like some people are, again, seeing you as some type of exception to the rule. And you do have Paradigm. Do you always do this? Again, it is hard to change your nature. Try changing your environment or perhaps your perspective. Just like I was saying earlier on TikTok and for the Scorpio messages, I do feel like you guys could be sitting back and just taking a look at the people around you and realizing that a lot of these people could be in the same boat, but the only reason they're not in the same boat is because they've given up a long time ago. They're having a hard time, like, you know, being optimistic, having hope for themselves. With Sanctimony, the moment you think I'm nothing like them, you become exactly like them. I do feel like, again, you guys are not being judgmental, condescending. You're not, like, you know, looking down on people. It's just facts. It's just an observation. And with Ruckus, losing the moral high ground means you gain something else. I think the only reason that you have gotten to this point of sitting back and observing or even reflecting this hard is because you kind of had to separate yourself from some people, either because of, I'm hearing, creative differences, but either because of differences in opinion or because you felt like, you know, you were dealing with people who kind of were going nowhere and dragging you right down with them. I do feel like this is you also sitting back and being in a period of your life where you separating yourself, you not giving up, has reaped some beautiful benefits, and you're just kind of enjoying the fruits of your labor, which has given you time to really think and reflect and so on and so forth. And I'm hearing wouldn't have been able to do it without you. I do feel like there is a sense of, like, gratitude and thankfulness in all your experiences, all of your disconnects, all of your disagreements, because you really couldn't have done it without these people. I'm hearing give me that push. Some people doubting you or making fun of you or whatever, with the Five of Wands jumping out, really kind of gave you that push to keep fighting, keep going. All right. My camera for some reason keeps going dark. I'm sorry if you see me reaching over. It's to just keep it from shutting off. It's so funny because you guys could be kind of coming off as some kind of, like, you know, celebrity, even if you're not, like, in the public eye. Like, just something about how much you have, I'm hearing, flipped and turned your life around, has people kind of, like, enamored, and I'm hearing enamored and entrenched, but enamored with what you have going on, enamored with your life, enamored with you. There could be some people who are deeply entrenched with, like, you know, your whereabouts, what you have going on, who you're with, what you're doing, how you're doing it, and it is giving, like, you know, celebrity vibes. That is funny. You have the Three of Cups up, right? There could be, like, old friends, old family members, old co-workers who are just invested in what you have going on. I'm hearing because they're not satisfied with their life, but they could also just be dissatisfied with, like, you know, how you guys disconnected or the fact that you guys are in disconnection. With the Five of Wands upright being clarified by the King of Pentacles in reverse, I do feel like, again, this is people seeing that, like, all of their doubt, all of their shady remarks, all of their snide remarks, all of their comments, all of them trying to box you in and push you down only made you go harder. And I do feel like these are people who are kind of, like, you know, seeing that it worked for you while they are, I'm hearing, left where they're at or staying right where they were left off. Like, these are people who are kind of like, you know, if you stopped talking to somebody 5 years ago and all they would do is wake up in the morning, smoke weed, sit in their room playing video games, and then go to work and then come home and go to sleep, they're still doing that. There's could have been somebody who, while doing that to you or while doing that, was telling you to do the same thing, telling you, like, you know, nah, you shouldn't keep trying to do YouTube. You shouldn't keep trying to, like, you know, be a singer or be a celebrity. That makes no sense. You better get you a 9 to 5. These are people who, like, you know, projected their, again, lack of hope, them giving up on life, their lack of optimism onto you. And all that did was make you keep pushing. I'm hearing there has to be more than this. Like, this was you just refusing to accept that, like, you know, all life is going to school, graduating, getting a job, working, and dying. And I'm hearing not even getting to enjoy your life. Like, I feel like the biggest thing for you was just wanting to be able to enjoy your life. And I'm hearing these are people who, again, they were not enjoying their life. They gave up on life long ago, and they wanted you to, you know, feel the same way or be the same way. Or, again, these are people who just had a hard time believing that there was anything. I'm hearing can't see the forest before the trees. They had a hard time believing that there was a reality where you can, like, you know, be happy and be stable and do YouTube or do TikTok or, you know, you can be a fashion designer, you can become a celebrity. These could also be people that were like, you know, stuck in their ways because they're older. This could be older family or just like, you know, an older cousin. With the Three of Pentacles in reverse being clarified by the Seven of Wands, the Seven of Swords upright, I do feel like, again, these are people who, like, you know, are having a hard time believing that you really did it. And I don't think it's because they think, like, you know, it's fake or it's not real. I think it's just the shock of, like, you know, oh my God, you really did it. Oh my God, you really can do that with your life. And I do feel like with the Three of Pentacles in reverse, clarifying or being clarified by the Seven of Swords upright, these are people who kind of, like, you know, there is just like I'm hearing what's the catch. There is like an air of not like they don't believe that you really did it or like you really are living the life that you're living, but there is still like, you know, there's underlying hope that like it doesn't work out, that like there's a catch to it, that it's not going to sustain you for long. These could be people who are, again, who are very heavily invested in your life. They check your YouTube channel to see if, like, you know, you still have followers, or to see if you hit a plateau where you're not gaining any followers, and they see that you gained another 2,000 subscribers. They go to your TikTok and they want to see if, like, you know, you're stuck at a certain amount, your views are low, and instead they see that people are still supporting you. These are people who, if you are releasing music, they want to see that, like, your music is flopping, and instead you have people literally telling you and encouraging you to keep going. There could also just be like this element of people having a hard time, like, you know, accepting that not only are you going for what you want to go for it and you're achieving it, but you have other people who are supporting you. And there could be people who wish that, like, you know, they supported you when they had the chance. And it may not even just be supporting you, saying you can do it, keep going. It could have been people who, again, I think I said this yesterday, where you tried to reach out to collab or, like, you know, get some people on board with something that you have going on, and instead of, like, you know, supporting you and giving you like help or whatever, they told you to stop or they ignored you. There is just an air of people just being very like surprised that you're doing well and like you did it. The Hangman in the reverse being clarified with the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. Again, I do feel like there is this element of like you achieved something. Not only are you going for something, but you're achieving it. You're seeing an active like payout. You're seeing an active benefit. I'm hearing active reach. You are actively reaching other people. This isn't you like, you know, just starting a business and you're trying to like, you know, please come support my coffee shop. Please watch my channel. This is you genuinely like, you know, seeing some success in something. I'm hearing only expanding. You're only getting better. You could have opened a business and your business is doing well, and now you're starting to open a second business. This is you already being established in some way. Which is bringing me to the Five of Swords upright, being clarified by the Three of Cups upright and the Nine of Cups in reverse. Like I said, I do feel like you have like friends, old coworkers, old family, people who are just keeping tabs on you. These are people who are keeping tabs on you, and they are just feeling a lack of like, you know, dissatisfaction with either you being well off, or not being a part of your story. There are some people who also are, again, like unhappy with you guys being disconnected because they could have been a part of this if they supported you or like, you know, saw your vision from the jump. Which is bringing me back to, again, lucid, lost, look for the light. There could be something about your life or the way you're living that, again, I think I said yesterday, some can only dream of. You're living life some can only dream of. Or there's just something about, like, you know, the way you can navigate your life where, again, you just have an air of lucidity to it. You have an air of starry-eyedness to it. And with the lost, look for the light, this is you no longer being lost because you found your calling. Some people could feel like, you know, upset because they are lacking a purpose, and you found your purpose. Okay. So before we close this out, let's get some closing messages for the collective. The Seven of Cups upright jumped out. Okay. I don't think this has anything to do with you, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, but like, I don't think this has anything to do with you. I really feel like this has a lot to do with, again, people who are watching you, people who are like, you know, keeping tabs on you, people who are just really invested in your life. I do feel like these are people who are, again, watching what you have going on, but I feel like they're also waking up to the fact that, like, I'm hearing you could do it too. These are people who are realizing, like, you know, you can be in the same boat as the collective if you practice a little more optimism, if you know, get back to doing the things that you are supposed to do, if you decide to just believe in yourself. And that's bringing me to the Page of Pentacles upright at the bottom of the deck. I am tying this into the Seven of Cups upright, being clarified by the Four of Cups upright. I love the Four of Cups because I always see this as, again, someone actively ignoring something that's being handed to them from the divine. These are people who are realizing the only reason you're broke, and with the Ten of Pentacles being underneath this, the only reason you are broke, or the only reason you are, like, you know, lacking energy or not seeing success in a certain area, is because you are choosing to actively reject certain gifts that were given to you by the divine. You could have the Ten of Pentacles, you could be happy with your life, but the Three of Wands in the reverse being here, you are just choosing to not believe in your future, not invest into your future. This could be people who, again, like, you know, they are creative as a musician, but they gave up on producing years ago. They have a junky computer sitting in like their attic collecting dust when they could be using the same time they're using to sit around gossiping or smoking to go work on that project. These are people realizing that, like, you know, they have options. I'm hearing the options were always available. You just have to actually get up and, you know, choose one. You have to actually get up and choose yourself. That is bringing me to the Two of Swords in reverse, being clarified by the Nine of Swords upright. There is something about how you're living, what you're doing, and people seeing it that has them stressed, that has them in their head. This could be you being, using myself as an example, this is you being a tarot reader and someone is watching your tarot channel like, oh my God, I always wanted to be on TikTok. I always wanted to be on YouTube. And you mean to tell me that it was that easy? Like, these are people realizing, like, you know, all they need to do is pick a lane, pick a direction, and stick to it or hop into it. And these are people who could be kicking themselves in the ass for wasting so much time. This could be, again, like an older relative who doesn't understand, like, you know, social media and what, like, this day and age is like. And they're over here telling you you gotta get a 9 to 5 and do this and do that. And then they see that, like, you know, you did the opposite of what they were telling you to do. And you actually are living well, living better than them. And they're just sitting back like, oh my God, I wasted all this time working a 9 to 5 when I could have been doing this. These are people realizing, like, you know, the option was always available to them. They just had to pick one or choose it. That is bringing me to the Eight of Cups in reverse, being clarified by the Ace of Pentacles upright. You could be inspiring some people to, I'm hearing, let's get to the money. You could be inspiring some people to get back to it. This could be you inspiring some people to get into tarot. You inspiring some people to get into YouTube. Inspiring some people to get into TikTok. Inspiring some people to get into music. You are inspiring some people to, like, you know, actually invest in a future that they could have had, you know, given to them at any point. And this is bringing me to the High Priestess upright, being clarified by the Tower upright. I feel like you are kind of, like, you know, opening some people's minds. I think I said expanding either on here or TikTok, but you could be, like, you know, really expanding the minds of some people right now. You could be really inspiring some people to, like, you know, go within, figure out what they like, what they want, figure out who they are. I think there is something about, like, you know, you just, again, being eclectic, you taking the opposite route, you doing something different that has other people feeling like, you know, maybe I can be an exception to the rule. Maybe I can, like, you know, truly make something happen for myself instead of doing the hearing the obvious. And the obvious could be, like, you know, the societal obvious. Like, it's obvious you should go to school. It's obvious you should get a job. These are people realizing that, like, you know, what do I want to do? Who do I want to be? Instead of, like, being what I was told to do. You're kind of making people realize that, like, there's more to life than what they saw in front of them. So yeah, that is what I have for you guys. I will see you later. Thank you for sticking around for these messages, and take care.